Call the regular meeting, City Council to order. 7:01 p.m. Start with the pledge of Clerk, please do the roll call.
Here.
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 Here. Next, we have a motion to approve the City Council minutes for February 22nd, 2022, the regular meeting of the City Council. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Roll, second by Alderman Carr on the question. Not clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Jackson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Rowe.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Motion carries. Next, we have public comments. Any public comments?
Good evening, Mayor. I was kind of hoping to flip it all around and do the ceremony first, but that's okay.
I got to run on the agenda this time.
We're good. No, we'll follow the agenda. Good evening. Hope you all got out for that 66-degree weather on Saturday. It was a good reminder of what's upcoming, kind of thing. But I thought I'd take a moment really quick. I really am an unknown to you guys in many ways. I mean, there's stuff on the internet you've read, you've heard me yik-yak a little bit. So I thought I'd bring up one little point in my history that will lead me to where I want to land tonight. In high school, I played tennis for 4 years. I started off as junior varsity, landed on varsity, you know, had some good competition against Lake Forest, Libertyville, you know, that caliber of schools, but I held my own. One of the awards that I was awarded back then was the Scrap Hustle and Big Award. I did not understand that award. I was upset. I was like, what is this? What do you mean Scrap Hustle Big? You know, it's a trophy, right? It says on it Scrap Hustle Big. The coach tried to explain it to me and I kind of just walked away, you know, and started moving along my life. Then when I started getting into living in the city of Chicago and I got involved with the Chicago alternative policing strategy, that's when I started understanding what my coach saw in me, that scrap, hustle, and dig. That when things might seem impossible, for example, you know, kind of like on a tennis court, that shot is just out of range, I'm gonna die for it. And tonight I'm going to die for something because I believe that the city of Blue Island now has a police chief that can do it. And Chief Farr, in that Blue Island needs a formal alternative policing strategy. I'm not totally comfortable with the term community policing per se. I like that notion of it's supposed to be an alternative. We're not supposed to be replacing anyone. That's not the objective. It's to bring people in. And it's one of those things that tonight of all nights, I was trying to think to myself, you know, what of hopeful importance could I bring to the city council? And considering the weekend that I had here in Blue Island, including being outside on Saturday and just some rough stuff on Sunday. Yes, Mayor and City Council, I am hereby requesting of you to please begin exploring what a community policing alternative policing strategy will look like, because the money's out there. The COPS program out of the DOJ has grants ready for you guys right now. I mean, I assure you, I give you my word, I'll be one of those people who scrap, hustles, and digs for every penny it takes to launch something that fits Blue Island, not Chicago, you know, not any other suburb. This one right here, Blue Island, because again, I think we finally have a police chief that has the demeanor, the professionalism, and the capacity to pull all parties together and actually leave a legacy that others can then build on. So thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to speak and count on all you guys being here, but this is what I was going to say tonight, regardless of who was in this room. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Moving on, under the mayor's business, we need a motion for approval of payroll for August 2022, amount of $350,337.43. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Alderman Rita, second by Alderman McKee. On the question.
I think I have just one item. I corresponded with Mark
the last couple of days, and he answered a whole bunch of questions for me, as always
Just
does.
this is the salary payroll.
Pardon,
This is the payroll.
pardon me. I'll catch up with you later.
Yeah. Any other questions? Please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Sure. Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Motion carries. Now we have motion for approval of accounts payable, the amount of $540,603.75. There are some large ones in there. If you guys read up on it, you could probably fill you in on at least one of them. If any of you all have any questions regarding that with the attorney after the meeting. Is there a motion? Alderman Rita, second by Alderman Fairwell on the question.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. So like I said, corresponded with Mark, I answered most of my questions, he answered all of them. I had raised a question about the payment to Thornton's for the sales tax incentive rebate of $27,323.49, which is on page 11. Because we talked in here already about the problems that we're having with them not keeping their property clean, not having credit card readers that work, that pumps that don't work, et cetera. And I asked if there was anything, in our agreement with them that might permit us to use this as leverage. He said he would talk to the city attorney and get back, which is fine, I understand that. I would just like to table this tonight. So that we can consider it again maybe in 2 weeks when we have a little more information.
Yeah, there's two agreements with them.
So there's
We should look into both. See if there's
There's-
I don't disagree, Alderman. As you know, we find that multiple times. I actually have, I think they're in the packet of 630 that were fined in February.
I know they're housing for this.
But it is an ongoing issue, both locations. I want that and all that.
So there's the sales tax rebate, and then there's the property tax rebate, which is tied to the TIF district, that Torrance is located on. The sales tax rebate is approximately, obviously depends on sales throughout the quarter. That was approximately $27,000, and then the property tax rebate is approximately $115,000. But I mean, I'd have to dig into the agreement and see, what
Sure.
we're tied to.
Yeah, I understand, we don't know, so according, I just would like to table, I know we have to pay it, I understand that, but
I don't know.
I know that they reached out again on Sunday, asking on status. So I have to dig into the agreement to see, timeline-wise.
could we make a contingent upon there being no penalty? That we would delay it? Sure. All right, I appreciate that, thank you.
Let's look at both agreements. All right, any other adjustments or questions? I would refer to the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
I with the exception of.
We're going to amend it to Alderman Fairwell, with the exception of removing the Thornton's rebate unless there is a penalty to be contained.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Motion carries. Next, we have the nomination for the Medal of Honor, Medal of Valor, May 10th, 2022 Illinois State Fire Marshal Ceremony. In a minute, I'll invite Fire Chief Haywood over here to pass out these awards. So I'll give the council and the public the background. On Saturday, February 19th, 2022, at 1:24 p.m., the Blue Island Fire Department was dispatched for a dryer fire in a mobile home located at 13800 Division Street. All available Blue Island Fire Department staff and rigs responded to the scene, including off-duty Lieutenant Olson and Engineer Bill Hurd. Responding rigs while en route received information that there are 2 victims in the building and are trapped in the bathroom. Also, while responding, Blue Island units were stuck by a train on Western Avenue and Shadow Street. While navigating around the trains, more information from dispatch was coming through that the mobile home was fully involved with fire. Police on the scene stated that they could hear the victims crying for help in the bathroom on the west side of the building. Our first arriving engine was met by off-duty Lieutenant Olson on scene with heavy smoke and fire conditions on the south end of the trail. The Blue Island Fire Department stretched 1.34-inch hand line the south end of the building while 360-degree survey was being completed by acting officer Clement. Lieutenant Olson, firefighter Scott, firefighter Furlow made entry and began suppression efforts. While active fire was present, firefighter Furlow pushed through the flames to try and locate the victims, while firefighter Scott and Lieutenant Olson continued suppressing the fire. While fire suppression and a primary search were underway, our second engine arrived on scene and began locating the victims from the exterior of the building with the information that was received from our dispatchers and police. The second engine crew on scene removed the exterior wall on the west side of the building by the bathroom. While the wall was being removed, acting officer John McClellan climbed through the bedroom window adjacent to that bathroom. At this time, there was still active fire in the building. The window was 5 feet off the ground, and firefighter McClellan managed to gain entry and locate the unresponsive victims. Acting officer McClellan came over to the fire ground radio with emergency traffic. The victims were located and are unresponsive. Acting officer McClellan and firefighter Perillo reached the 2 victims and began to remove the victims from the structure. 1 victim was passed through the wall by firefighter Perillo and cared for by mutual aid EMS. The other victim was rescued by firefighter Duffy, firefighter Sutkus, and firefighter McClellan and Lieutenant Olson and brought to the door on the east side of the trip. During this event, probationary firefighter Scott continued suppression efforts to protect the rescue operations and the integrity of the structure while crews made rescues. Under the direction and constant commitment to training and planning, pre-planning, Lieutenant Olson, these firefighters operate seamlessly with minimal direction. Wyoming's flagship, under the leadership of Lieutenant Olson, has been dedicated to perfecting this craft. This incredible emergency call could not have gone any better with the conditions that were presented. I feel that the flagship should be recognized and awarded the Medal of Valor for their efforts. I also feel the Medal of Honor for firefighter McClellan and firefighter Perillo should be awarded for the heroic acts performed during the rescue. We had 2 victims in this fire: a 78-year-old woman who after 48 hours was taken off life support and passed away. The other victim, a 59-year-old school teacher, she is improving each day and the outcome looks promising. Please consider the Blue Island Fire Department's flagship Fighting First, please award. This was sent downstate. We also have a letter from the South Cook County Emergency Medical Service System. Dear Chief Haywood, I'm writing to you at this time to express my admiration and appreciation for the ability and professionalism of the Blue Island Fire Department. On February 19, 2022, the department responded to a trailer fire in Blue Island. The responding crews performed most heroically and effectively in a complicated rescue and resuscitation of 2 patients. This was an extremely difficult situation. The Blue Island Fire Department demonstrated why you are the most noble profession. Please accept my respect and gratitude for all you do. Bernard, probably mispronounced the name. Elliser, EMS Medical Director, CCMA Federal. So I'd like to ask Fire Chief Haywood to come up and present the awards. Firefighter John McClellan.
So that letter was sent down state to the state fire marshals. This is just something we're trying to do on a local level to try and show our appreciation for these guys that did some pretty heroic stuff that day. This shift has been through a lot lately. It's probably the 3rd or 4th call. It's been pretty intense for these guys, and this is just our way of showing our thanks to these guys and all they did. So, thanks, John. Thank you. The other young man who was involved, deserves special recognition, is on vacation right now, Anthony Perillo. I'm gonna give it to John to take his. First shift, come on up and accept this plaque. Speaking trumpet, something that's shows the tradition and pride of our department. Again, mentioned a lot lately. Lieutenant Olson's a very good leader, and he deserves recognition. Thank you.
Thank you again. Next, we have the swearing in of Sergeant Frizzle. Yes, raise your hand. Let's move out of the way.
Thank you.
All right. So we have for me, I, Anthony Srezo, having been appointed to the office of sergeant in the city of Blue Island, county of Cook, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of Illinois.
Constitution of the state of Illinois.
I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of sergeant.
I will faithfully
Discharge the duties to
discharge the duties of the office of sergeant
the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. You want to say a few words?
Sorry, Paul Speaker. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my mom and dad. Growing up, they're the ones who taught me that hard work and dedication pays off. And I'm feeling that today. And then, secondly, just all the guys that I work with, they've, put me in this position and tested me every day to bring up the best of my abilities. Just even the, current supervisory staff that we have from the time I got on the job, they took me under their wing and pushed me every day, taught me how to do the job the right way. I'm very thankful for that because I believe that's a big part of the reason why I'm here today. And then just lastly, Chief Schultz, Chief Fire, for just giving me this opportunity today. Promote me to the rank of sergeant. So as always, I'm going to continue to do hard work for you every day.
Thank you. I'll do like I've been doing, a couple-minute recess in case you guys want to take pictures and get out here and sit around for the rest of the day. Old Western streetscape, Joel's coming tomorrow to make tonight, so it's not agenda for tomorrow too. We're up basically 90% drawn to submit IDOT. Now we're hounding them because IDOT can be anywhere, at least my conversation with Jason Berry was in Vermont, it could be anywhere from a month to 6 months to a year on review, so let's hope they review it for the next few weeks and give us the all clear to go out to bid. But Joel will come here and present. There's a lot of loops he had to jump through just to make the IDOT specifications work. And he actually shaved off hundreds of thousands of dollars off the initial estimates changing out the light bulbs, which actually started from a conversation with Alderman McGee. So we're gonna hopefully look good to get it done. We'll have the whole presentation tomorrow. But I'm really hoping IDOT gives us the clear, because even if we go out to bid, which will be 30 days, it may start in June or July, and then, we'll be running into November, December, and then probably have to finish up next summer just for Old Western. I'd like to do all 3 phases in the next 3 years. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow. We have a resolution approving the agreement for the Community Block Grant Program for year 2022, City of Blue Island Street Resurfacing Project. This is New Street again. We're reapplying for the same section, New Street, so we just resubmitted the same application for a new street from Maple to Tracks going west. So we need a motion and a second. Motion by Alderman Johnson, second by Alderman McGee. On the question, Alderman Fairwell.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, because in the paperwork we received, I didn't see New Street specified, so maybe I missed something. I assume it's in there somewhere.
It's New Street. I don't know if it's not
I didn't see
specified.
it either.
Yeah,
It is New Street though. Okay, we can, the motion will be, we'll include New Street in case there's a problem, but it's New Street. Reapplying last year's application. Okay. Any other questions? Not, clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman McGee.
Aye.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we have a resolution of the City of Blue Island, County of Illinois, approving the execution of a purchase and sale agreement for the sale of city-owned property at 12945 South Mozart Street, Blue Island, Illinois, 60406. Is there a motion? Alderman Roll, is there a second? Alderman Fairwell on the question?
Question,
Yes.
Chief, does the, like, say, because we sell the property, though, does the money, is it specified to go somewhere, or is this going to general fund?
General fund, because where the money goes for all the legal work that was to get the property. But all the ones that we did sell, we sold for a profit.
Okay,
And there's still several we still have to close on. This is part of that package we did a while back. This is Blue Street properties or something like that. Old new properties. Any other questions? Not clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
All right, and as the email stated earlier, under G, it brought to our attention that this was already done in 2011, effective 2012, for exactly what we're trying to do right now. So we're just going to enforce the ordinances and do a lot of education before anything's done, with some compassion thrown in there still. So, and everything was copied to you guys through the emails. Going on to mayor's comments, I want to take a moment to recognize the passing of Mario Mendes, the owner of Mario's Tacos. Been in business, born and raised Blue Islander, was in business 1975. And over the years became one of the staple businesses in Blue Island, especially if Blue Island was known for. As I'm sure everybody's experienced, when you say you're from Blue Island to someone that isn't from Blue Island, oh, I go to Mario's. It's one of the few places they throw out there. And he just passed away after a long battle of cancer. And the family has over and again told me that it will be reopened. They're actually remodeling right before this happened. And they're keeping me impressed with the timeline. I actually broke with one of his sons, and they've been keeping me posted almost every day of what's going on. So we wish them the best, and their picture is posted online, and it's at Kruger. I believe it's Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken. Thursday night, right here across the street. Mario's a caring family man, successful entrepreneur, and a son of the city. On behalf of the council and all of Blue Island City staff, we extend our deepest condolences to Mario Mendes' family and friends. Property citations. I attended part of the last one in February, and over 630 citations were heard on February 23rd, 2022, and $106,900 fines levied just on that day. Doesn't mean we're going to collect them, but That's tenfold more than we've ever levied in my recollection a month on the city council. So our building department is aggressively going after properties along with Mendes. Hopefully we can beef it up. There's still posting out there for an inspector and a part-time inspector that hasn't been filled yet. So the department is working really hard, and on top of everything going through their offices, they're following up on property violations. So that is a lot. I mean, now we're gonna collect it until, unless they decide to pay or it goes after a certain amount, we have to go look into liens and other things like that. But we are following up on a lot of these, and some of these are repeat offenders just from my walks with one of the code enforcers. So it's like, I think it's gonna take some education of switching the mindset of some of these commercial properties, especially that I know we've been taking over. New fire truck. It came in. Right?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. All right, so now it's time to call, we'll have it outside tomorrow, right, for the council to see.
Yeah.
All right, so that's good news. That's one of the first big purchases this new city council did. We're financing it and something we needed, replacing what, a 98 fire ladder truck. We have an aging fleet across all departments. It's a big purchase, probably the biggest one purchase that we've done, or probably will do for a vehicle. And looking forward to seeing it in person tomorrow. Thank you. That's all I have for mayor's comments. City clerk.
I'd like to thank everybody who came out to the Black History event. It was a success, and I know it took a lot of time, a lot of hours to come planning it, but it was a great job by everybody that came out. Blue Island Library will host its annual Spring Snowman Burning, the parking lot across the street from the library, March 19th at 4 o'clock. They want to block off the southwest corner of the lot along North Street. The coordinator for the formerly from St. Benedict's Parish will be having the Stations of the Cross on Good Friday. This will be moved place to place at a set route. All department heads have been informed. Blue Island Troublemakers will be sponsoring an antique car show in the honor of Police Week. This will take place at Double Play. I believe it's at Saturday, March 15th.
I believe it's Saturday.
Saturday, but it's
I
at
received 2
14th.
letters, yeah.
Right, they both said May 14th, I believe it's May 15th. Saturday, 8 to 5. Hometown Heroes have started. Please sign up if you have served from Blue Island, lived or lived in Blue Island. Your banner will be on the street poles on Western Avenue, Memorial Day to Labor Day. It's on our city website. Community cleanup is taking volunteers now. Please sign up on the website or in City Hall. It's April 23rd for Blue Island cleanup. Art Alliance is hosting a arts and crafts fair April 30th. There'll be more information to come. The Blue Island Public Library has been selected for a competitive federal humanities grant. $10,000 grant will help the library recover from COVID, the pandemic. There were over 370 libraries that applied. The clerk's office is currently working on the Firework Fest, TGIF, and the Farmers Market, so stay tuned.
Fireworks this year, again, July 3rd, unless it's pouring rain like last year.
All I got.
Well, thank you. Next, we have city treasurer. We have an update from the city treasurer, and he didn't ask me, but I'll inform the council. It's doing better. Latest blood work has shown lower amount of percentage of cells. And hopefully we can wish him good coming back very soon. So that's update the treasurer, and we have treasurer report. Is there a motion to approve? Motion. Alderman McGee, second by Alderman Roll on the questions. Question.
And let me Mark, after you take all my questions, just give me a second here. So there's one more thing I want to ask about. No, actually, I just want to point out something that I thought was of interest that I learned on parking ticket collections. We paid out $40,000 to the corporate checking account to assist with paying the 2018-22 payroll. We typically make transfers from this account about 3 to 4 times a year, assist covering expenses. I found it interesting. It sounds like it's been a past practice. It just seemed like it's something that it sounds sort of, I don't know, ad hoc. Yes, I know. And I wonder if, I'm just curious of what the
Well, all of these, like, it's to offset the salaries of the police department, right?
Yeah.
Parking tickets. We only collect the entire parking ticket. Speeding and moving violations is only a small percentage, chief. What is it? few percentage points. So the real only income from city ticketing is parking tickets. So it's transferred over to cover salaries of people writing tickets.
Yeah.
Just one door out the other.
I guess my thought here is that, is there a strategy or or do we just kind of have to handle these things as they come along?
Well, anything that's not a lockbox account.
Yeah.
So there's certain lockbox account, like the bottom here is restricted caches.
Right.
Those have to be dedicated for certain expenditures, like it has to be capital improvements or economic development. The parking lots have to be spent on the parking lots. The business district has to be spent on business. So anything on top here is unrestricted, and you can move money from one account to the other as needed. That's the difference between unrestricted and restricted. We just follow the past practice. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I
We
understand.
can do it every month or every week. It's adding more work, just move it when needed.
I get, from a public perception standpoint, one of the things you see out there is, the city just needs extra money, so I got to issue some parking tickets, and I know that's not what happened.
We all know
I understand it's not what
$40,000
happened.
is not a lot of money.
Looks like that. Anyway, just a comment. That's all.
And just bringing the fact, I brought this up in the treasury report, so keep an eye on these line items here. A lot of these bigger line items is cash reserves that are not in the appropriation because it's been probably several years of rolling over. I'm not sure if the finance chair or the administration has figured out how to rightfully put that in there. So when we're looking it over, you guys probably talk about this, but for MFT, for example, it's a large influx because we received ARPA funds. Well, that's gonna be spent on roads, correct? Wrong fund, I keep saying MFT.
The ARPA funds are in the grant non-interest bearing account.
So MFT is just MFT, is 2.6 million.
Correct.
Right, so that could be.
But
that's
that
what-
also includes the rebuilding.
Exactly, I keep misquoting. So there's a grant, it's a one-time thing. How do you reflect it?
Well, we get that twice a year.
But it's not, we don't know if it's coming back.
We have one more year.
So we need to reflect these correctly, like we're planning to spend a lot of money in the business. It's a one-time expenditure, but it's several years with the roll. So how do we do this where it's easy to understand? But we obviously aren't getting all this money in the tax bills, this is several years. So I just want the council to be aware of the treasury report is what's in the accounts, but it's not exactly what's matching up to last year's budget because it's several years worth of rollout. And I can use an example of the road, the budget before we didn't spend, so that should be rolled over to the following year. Just me. I just don't know, in the past we never accounted for it.
So we're not required to have a budget on top of the appropriation, but we can still create one.
No, and I keep calling budget appropriation, we've always just had an appropriation.
Right, but I mean, for future, if
Yeah.
we want to go one step further, we can create a budget and allocate those things there.
Yeah, there's two separate, so you can actually have a budget officer, or you can have a administrative budget, which is supplementing or kind of putting fiscal constraints on your spending, because the appropriations ordinance is just your legal spending authority for the year. It doesn't actually need to include the revenues that are generated.
All right, let's do a roll call, I guess I will talk.
Jackson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Vito.
Aye.
Alderman Fisher.
All right.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
I passed out for you guys an ordinance that we'll discuss it tomorrow, how it wasn't ready for the packet, but Alderman McGee did speak to Mr. Chancellor about the building department, and this new ordinance reflects their discussion regarding the intent to sell specials. I'm sorry, what? Intent to sell, did you say? Yes.
All right. City Administrator, request for proposals for the accounting firms.
Good evening. Tom Logan, City Administrator. So in your packets is the one response we received to our RFP for accounting services. Thought we actually might get a couple more. But such as it is, we're still making a staff recommendation that the proposal we received from Kasperick is worthy of moving forward. We have a couple reasons for this. One, we believe that even though we're unable to get comparable pricing in this immediate market, we're in a unique situation as we're learning and we just went through. Where we might not be the most attractive client for certain accounting firms because we're not easy right now. We're still correcting a lot of mistakes from the past, etc. We do have an existing working relationship with Kasperick, with the firm. They were our auditor over these past several years. Obviously, they cannot serve in both functions, so this would require, the next step would be if the council accepts this, right? And a RFP for audit services, well, those would be two separate firms. As far as the firm itself and their work, I think the reputation speaks pretty well of themselves, but their proposal is pretty robust. And I would just add that the firm, from a consulting standpoint, has been very helpful to myself, the mayor, to Mark, and to all of the role in terms of helping us get this budget and appropriations together for this fiscal year. So they do have good institutional knowledge of our very unique situation here. So that is the proposal that's in front of you. Like I said, we did put out the RFP. The RFP is also in the package, so you can see what we put out there for the services we shop around. We think with these proposed services, we can take a next step in kind of cleaning up the administrative elements of finance versus the contractual, and do some things to strengthen up our staff and bring our billable hours down as well. In the process, however. So that's what's in front of you. I'm happy to do as best I can. Not being a member of the firm, and answer questions around that. If you want to go, I can just keep going. We have a couple more items.
Yeah, and I think it's on the agenda for tomorrow night too, right?
We'll vote on it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is just teaming up.
Is this just for our information, or do we vote on this?
So we're voting on it tomorrow?
It's on the committee of the whole, because it didn't go through, we went through committee of the whole, put an RFP out, but we haven't put it through to approve that. So instead of putting it on here, we're putting it through council, it'll be the next meeting in March, but if we have a tentative okay going through tomorrow, Hisperic's firm can start, and then we do an RFP for the
Service.
the auditing service, because I don't want to fall too far behind. So I'll take I guess, how the council votes tomorrow, the committee.
If nothing happens, I mean, anticipation anything happens.
Yeah, because I'm not happy with them as often, as long as they make it. Part of the configurations that we have been jeopardized because it's been under their jurisdiction for so long. I don't understand why we're looking. I understand there's only one person that came to bid, but
The company we currently have that even did. They don't do it now. Hisperic only does the audit. This is for accounting. So the accounting service we have, which is, I don't even know the name of the company, WJJR.
right, because you and I spoke about this, I guess, earlier.
I think the relationship with Warner Rogers was large part based around its principles that are no longer there.
And the people that retired that the city had a relationship with. Correct. So Alderman Johnson, I think that would solve your issue, because then they wouldn't be the auditor. You have to find them to come to the auditor. All right.
Okay, the appropriation conversation, is also kind of best punted to tomorrow. So I did want to just, the mayor had touched on it, but just in terms of kind of educating ourselves about what we're going to see tomorrow and moving forward. So the mayor, myself, Alderman Roll, Deputy Administrator Protaska, and as well as with consultation with our CPA consultant, have been building upon the documents we provided at the last meeting. As I said, they have already changed somewhat, but what we're going to make an effort to do, overpromise here, is Alderman Roll has been working on using his extensive training in data modeling to provide some modeling that will help us all kind of understand what the patterns of these various funds are, what we intend to do moving forward, in areas where we see noticeable increases or decreases. Talk through why we're doing those, what our rationale is behind them. I do think it is important, as the mayor had kind of started to talk about in relation to the treasurer's report, but there's other elements of it too. What we are doing right now, I think the best way to explain it is we have married budget and appropriations as one effort. Now we can have a debate about whether that's best practice or common practice among municipalities, but I think it's important what we're going to produce at the end of this, okay? Because the official document that is necessary is the appropriation. Right, so the appropriation, for some of you who've been here several times, you know this, but for some new folks who might need more information, the appropriation is not our budget. It's not what we intend to spend. It's what we're legally allowed to spend. So there is good reason to be cautious on that in terms of setting costs at what you anticipate you might want to spend, because it gets very difficult after appropriation is spent to legally spend the money. Obviously, if there's $1,000 listed in a line item and you want to spend 1,001, you've got to move money around or you're going to break the law. So I think I said just for your edification and understanding what we're gonna be putting forward. There are elements of the appropriation that are gonna differ somewhat in the budget because we're doing our best to anticipate certain things. So, grants are a good example, and grants and chasing after state capital, state capital funds, things like that, that we are going to make an effort to plug into the budget responsibly. But on paper, if you just look at it, it's going to look like in some areas we're spending more money than we have. So I'll give you an example. If we can try to get a $5 million grant and we're plugging that in as we would like to spend it, we can set as an expenditure expense, but the numbers are going to then start to look a little inflated. Well, where's this $5 million from and how are we going and before we spend it? Well, we're chasing it. But if we get it, we want to have the authority to spend it. So there's some line items that don't reflect that. Others, as the mayor reported, I know there's going to be a conversation about streetscape. Streetscape's a good example of what we're talking about here. That existing funds in business tax district and TIF and smaller amounts of TIF will be likely used to accomplish that project. That's not going to be apples to apples reflected in current revenues. So there may be, listen, I'm gonna work with the accountant to try to simplify things along with what the mayor's request was, which is to do our best to show where cash is available, in accounts and where that and where we are leaning on that to use for certain spending, so we're justifying all
The
of
easiest
that.
way to explain it for me is we collect $700,000 a year in businesses for tax. However, we have nearly 3 million rolled over from previous years. I guess this year, we don't shoot to spend the whole thing. We might spend a big chunk of it. So how do we reflect that? It's definitely an increase over the 700,000 we're collecting this year.
And it's not reflected in revenue projections. So it's important just to, and so these are just, listen, so for some folks, it's the first time we're seeing this, so I just want to make sure that we're kind of aware of that. If we see some numbers, we say, are we really intending to spend, 8 million, whatever, pick your number over what we, no, of course not. We have to make our payroll, we got to pay our bills. That's the two things we're going to account for when, as we're tracking the fiscal year through the year. Within that though, as we're chasing money or as we're just making a decision to use existing capital, that's not always going to be reflected in the revenue projections.
Okay.
So did you reformulate how we used to do it? Because through the years that I've been here, they used to have the grants, et cetera, built into the appropriation. We changed it where it was a below line item. So it wasn't actually part of the revenue that we were counting. Did you change that?
No, so we haven't reverted
I
back.
don't know if
to
I'm using the right terminology, forgive me, but you don't.
So I believe it was 2013 was the first year that the budgeting process and structure here kind of changed. A lot of municipalities, I think the city attorney will speak to this with our municipal clients, but a lot of municipalities, their appropriation processes, I remember this is the park, this is how we did it when I ran the park district. The appropriation process is, here's what we appropriated last year, here's what we're spending, here's what we're appropriating this year. What we're doing is a little more involved, right? Because that's reflective of the spreadsheet I passed out a couple weeks ago. What we're doing is, like I said, essentially building a budget within that, which I think is good. I think it's very good, excellent for my education in this job, I can tell you that much. But I think it's very good in terms of understanding what the intentions, and I always say it's budgets and appropriation, they're vision documents, it's what our intentions are. It's what we hope to happen. Obviously, we're not going to get everything we wish and everything's not going to work out the way we hope, but you lay our best plan forward based on this document. So we are not, this was a discussion that we had a lot at the beginning of this. Should we revert back to what is the more traditional appropriations process? At the end of the day, it's the first year with this council. It's our first time, this new mayor, new council, new administration, as a group building this. We didn't want to rock the boat too much. We wanted to have something comparable to what we've done the past couple of years, but hopefully it is more responsible in how it's laid out and more honest in what we have and what we intend to do.
Questions?
Thank you.
So you didn't change it, it's the bottom line.
Correct. And I know you guys are working hard on this. The challenge that we have, of course, is that we're, March 31, right? We got to be done. It's got to be approved on March. The timeline is March 31. We have a public hearing 10 days prior. How's that working?
So right now we have the public hearing set for March 29th, plan was March 22nd, the same day the council meeting, but an hour earlier. So what we would have to do is two things. One, 10 days prior, which would be the 12th, which we are teed up to do this. Posting a publication, which we do in the Chicago Tribune / Southtown. Basically saying, here's what we're doing in the hearing, here's what you can do to get your comments right at the end. And then create a physical copy of the appropriation document, put it in the clerk's office for public viewing and put it on the website.
Okay.
So that's what we have to do 10 days.
Right, gotcha. So time is short, we're running tight on this, and we have to do it. And there is, obviously, this is a first time creation, as you said, in a sense, because a lot of us haven't done this before in the administration, a lot of the things we want to do. So there's a lot of moving parts in this, and I just know that we're going to need to take some time because there's a lot of line items to talk about. So I know we're going to talk about this tomorrow, and it seems like we might need to talk about it yet another time, maybe. So just want to be kind of aware of that because there's a lot of detail in here, and it's important. And I certainly agree with your idea that we kind of use this as a budget, and that's how we do it. But I think that what Alderman Roll is suggesting, that we actually look towards creating a budget, would also be a very useful tool, because the appropriation sets a maximum. It doesn't, and it's different from a budget, because a budget tries to help manage throughout the year to actual expectations, as opposed to just saying, well, we have $33 million to spend this year, and it's kind of how we might spend it, but it might not all come in, and all, so on and so forth. So a budget would be more useful, and it would do things that I think we need to do to be more specific about our intentions, and I hope that we can get to that. So.
I agree 100%. This is, as I said, this is an intertwined budget and appropriation process. Now, it puts us in a good position once the appropriation is settled, that we have done the legwork to break these things down. But I do believe in the best interest of this council moving forward, that you decouple appropriations and then budgeting after that. Now, like I said, we were using the situation we inherited so as not to create too many waves or try to reinvent something, and then we're getting ourselves more confused. We're trying to work within the parameters of the previous few years of this council, but it probably, after we've all digested this and we've worked through this, and I said, Alderman Roll and I meet every week about this, I think it probably would behoove the council to consider, let's say, going to what will be generally to a more traditional local government, municipal government budgeting process. What's your appropriation? Great, you've settled that. Now how are you going to spend that? By combining them, we do set ourselves into some of these traps of, okay, we have it realistically where we want our priorities, right? So it makes it a little harder to have that conversation. So I agree with you. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other Alderman comments, concerns regarding the administrative report? Okay, thank you. Aldermanic announcements, reports, and comments.
I just wanted to say to the fire chief, I'm glad that you brought the men in for the awards tonight. I think it's been several years since we've had public acknowledgement of what our firefighters do, and also for Chief Hart, it's been several years since we've had acknowledgement, public acknowledgement of what our police officers do. So I appreciate you bringing them in, and I hope to see more of that.
I want to thank our first responders as well, because a lot of times you guys don't get, the accolades that you should, and for the things that you do, risking your lives every day and helping provide a blanket of security for the city to provide. And I just want to thank you as well. I kind of been complaining about those mobile homes for quite some time. I think the one on Broadway looks really nice and could be a model for everyone we have, but it's just sad that landlords and things of that nature don't think of it the same, and it causes a situation of people's lives in danger, even children using them as playhouses or whatever. And if I can work with you guys in any way, because I know a couple of them is in my ward, I appreciate what you guys do. On that note, Mayor, it's I was wanted to bring to you about the California Gardens area. We need another way out. That's what I'm more or less to say. You know, listening to the train issue that helped them also, you know, in those type of moments, seconds count. And I was wondering if we could get a street bypass there, either by Wally's paving, which we used to, but nobody helped Wally maintain the road, so he ended up putting those posts there. And that would be a way for them to cut up off 147 to go up Harrison in order to, you know, get out or come in or make it, or have that street, California extend through Deer Point, you know, through that sidewalk area. If we could look for that in the future. I know we already have a lot of things on our plate as a city, but if we could look for that, you know, another way out, that's what I'm saying, because we kind of trapped down there, especially when you talk about a train. The best thing for us to do would probably be to jump on the expressway. You jump from 127 to 147, you know, without getting jammed. The other thing is the cleanup on April 23rd, so we can get our own crew of people to help clean up. Is that?
There's a sheet, if you fill it out,
Mhm,
with your team on there,
mhm.
then they're all gonna get a t-shirt. And so
Okay.
as long as, I think it's April 1st, we're having another meeting. I'll let you know.
Okay, I thank you, Clerk. And I just want to put a shout out for the Untouchables. We actually trying to do another football cheer program. We were kind of affected from the backlash of COVID for kids and volunteer staff. So if you guys know anyone or any children that would like to become part of the Untouchables, you can look at Twitter and Facebook. As well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that what Coach was?
Alder?
Just want to say I've been watching the news quite a bit lately, as probably many of you have, and watching it tonight, and it, you know, it just occurs to me that we do in here tonight seems kind of ordinary and plain, but there's people in another country tonight who had a democracy a week or two ago, and they don't have one now, and they're fighting for it, and it's not too much to ask of us to all show up and do our jobs we all do. And we're lucky to be able to do it. And it really makes me appreciate what we have here. We all complain, I complain. But I think that what you hear people say sometimes is our system is the worst except for all the others. We get, we got it pretty good here. So we should appreciate it.
Any other Alderman comments or questions? Not have executive tonight, we don't want to know, right? All right, we need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Alderman Rita, second by Alderman Roll, all in favor, say aye.